Ladies and gentlemen, you are with the Tulsa Sound Podcast. Welcome to our show this evening.
Welcome to the Tulsa Sound Podcast. I am your host, Oscar Padron.
And I'm the guy over on the other side of the table, Mr. Eric.
That's right. And joining us tonight, Anthony Pierce from Cowboy Jones at Six Killer. Oh, well, from Cowboy Jones.
The guys I play with now are called the Slicks.
The Slicks.
Cowboy Jones.
All right.
I have another band called the Arrows.
The Arrows. Pierce and the Arrows.
That's when Craig Skinner's playing with us and Johnny Winkle's on drums.
I like it.
He also, Johnny also plays in Cowboy Jones. And Craig has played with Cowboy Jones.
All right.
It's kind of a conglomeration. But the Slicks are me and Jeff Overbeck. You remember him, right?
Yes.
Who's with the Arrows and Cowboy Jones. And Ian Johnson plays drums with us.
Ian Johnson. Go check him out, guys.
Yeah, we're playing at Thelma's 5:30 to 7:30, August 30th.
August 30th at Thelma's. All right.
There you go, Thelma's.
5:30 to 7:30.
It's not a lounge, and it's a bar.
I believe it's no cover as well.
Oh, that's the best kind of
set.
cover.
I usually just play for the
Beautiful.
whatever the bucket brings.
Sure, man. Sure. We're glad you're with us
Folks that come
tonight.
in
Yeah.
and hang out, yeah.
It's going to be a crazy show this evening. I don't even know what we've got planned.
Well, I can tell you what we got planned.
The elevator's still out here at the Atlas Life building. I just had to climb up all 84 floors. I really want to thank the studio audience, for being here tonight and, climbing the stairs with you. Oh, you're welcome, guys. You're welcome. Okay. Climbing the stairs with us. It's a trek up here, I tell you. But, you're on the top of the world.
That's right. There's no place I'd rather be tonight.
84th floor of the Atlas Life building in beautiful downtown Tulsa.
Tonight, we're going to talk about some, lesser known Oklahoma music facts about well-known Oklahoma musicians.
Oh, well, that sounds like
and
fun.
Coming up, Mr. Eric is going to give us the history of Oretleys in Tulsa.
Oh,
And I've got it. Yeah, I've got it here on the computer.
Oh, thank God.
And Mr. Rubin has it on the video switcher. So
that's super. So y'all will read it, and I'm just going to sit here and read it with you.
And we'll get into a great interview I'm very excited about tonight. We've got Anthony Pierce, and he's brought his guitar. And man alive.
It's kind of in tune.
It's kind of in tune.
There we go.
Guys, we want you to roll one up. We want you to grab some snacks and hang out with us here on the Tulsa Sound Podcast.
Rolling up, snack grabbing time coming up. We're going to be right back after this, so please do not, I repeat, do not hit that button.
We'll keep it right here.
Stay right here with us, and we will be back at the Tulsa Sound Podcast. Oh, shut up there, you all. Shut up now. Wasn't that funny? Crying out loud. Roll that bean footage over there, Frisbee.
Roll that footage,
In the name of
Mr.
God,
Rubin.
Quick, do it before we all die here. We're dying. There we go. Thank God. We'll be right back, folks. We'll be right back.
Fell the town that day, 2,200 dead, no one made pay. Over way down the line, I call out to you. Oh, why would you take my family? That terrible Johnstown flood. Well, the rich folks fancy fishing, so they build a dam. It moves so its water on the folks of old Johnstown. Trading up the money, my pay. Oh, down in the valley, I call out to my Lord. Oh, why would you take my family in that terrible Johnstown flood? 700 tombstones lined on the hill, most we never found, and I guess they never will. The 2,200 people lost their lives that day. 2,200 people, old Carnegie was paid. Oh, way down in the valley, I call out to Lord. Oh, why did you take my family, that terrible Johnstown flood? Oh, why would you take my family, that terrible Johnstown flood? Lake called them all, she let loose her water. There you go, Todd.
All right. We are back.
We're back now. We're back.
We are back. So, yes, in the saddle with Anthony Pierce and my friend, Mr. Eric Kerr.
Well, here I am.
Mr. Eric to my left and my other left, he's all around.
Yeah, such as it is. It's been a long day, friends. I'm not going to be the usual. It's my shirt. I know this shirt.
Is.
This shirt is not a dog whistle. It just simply means that I'm wearing a tiki shirt because it's comfortable. But no, yeah.
He's secretly attracting Gilligan's Island fans to our podcast.
That's right.
With a dog whistle shirt that he's wearing.
It's a dog whistle. I'm dog whistling. You can't hear it, but it's here.
No, and that was Johnstown Flood by Anthony Pierce and Todd Hartcreader, live in Kiefer, Oklahoma. Anthony, what a great song. Yeah, what a great song.
Well, thanks, man. I'm glad you like it.
And the better part of the Hartcreader clan.
Yeah, Todd and I've been playing together for a long time. I wrote that song, and he had a studio over on Elgin, like at a storage place, actually. And
imagine that.
His dad had a storage place over there, and it was the old like utility building or something for the city. There's all these generators and boilers and stuff in the basement. Well, he took that over that were not being used, and took that over and kind of made a studio out of that area. And we used to go in there and record some stuff. Alamatra Studios.
That's a heavy song.
Yeah,
it's a real heavy song.
I was watching an NPR. I'd read about that, and all of a sudden the NPR had an episode about it coming on, and I watched it, and I was like, wow. They got into detail about how all the miners worked in a mine, and they took the stuff from the mine and made a dam where they could go bass fishing.
Yeah.
And then the dam failed, and it killed all the miners' wives and children while they were in the mine working that day.
Oh, tragedy.
And then
America's
they didn't want to pay
first.
for anything or take any credit. Carnegie was a steel operation, and
So this is probably a company
Fred
town.
was the man that was in charge of Carnegie's business. And Carnegie, I think at the time, was overseas. But yeah, it was a terrible tragedy, and I think spurned a lot of Andrew Carnegie's how you say it?
Philanthropy.
Philanthropy.
See, I just learned that word last week.
Yeah, that's one I was digging for.
I got you.
And I think it inspired a lot of that in him later in life. And
Well, yeah, and that
terrible
was
tragedy.
that was one of our country's first like industrial accidents that went after people, and it was mass because
Yeah, a lot of people
this
died.
huge tailing lake, and it when dams breaking is never a good thing, but it was literally in the floor of the valley.
Yeah, and it took bodies way on down the river, and it took them weeks and months to
Yeah.
find, and then they never found a lot of the people.
Mm.
I think they only found like 700 of like 2,000 people or so. I'm not really sure about that, but I know I think in the cemetery there's like 700 tombstones.
Was this in Kentucky or West Virginia?
No, it's in Johnstown. I believe it's
Pennsylvania.
Ohio. Yeah, Pennsylvania, Ohio
Johnstown,
area.
And interestingly enough, over in North Tulsa, out near Turley, there's an actual Johnstown street
Right.
down in there, and it is in the lowest place for all the water that comes off of Turley Mountain. So there's this creek that goes through there. It's about this wide, and then when it rains, that creek is about very wide. A huge amount of water comes off, and it's what an appropriate name. It's
Exactly.
really, it's kind of like, well, I grew up out in Mingo Creek, the water feature, and so floods are a horrible thing.
Yeah, I grew up in a county in Arkansas where there were like 5 rivers.
Wow.
Where in Arkansas, Anthony?
It's over in northeast Arkansas, Randolph County, and it's kind of like the beginning of the Mississippi Delta from
Yep.
the Ozarks. And where we live is in the hills, and you go just down the road, and you're in the bottoms,
Yeah.
river bottoms, and there's tributaries and streams of the Current River, Spring River, Foshee River, 11 Point River, and the Black River all run through there. And Current River's notorious. My uncle actually died on that river with
Wow.
his wife.
Wow.
Yeah, it was when I was about a year old. It was like known throughout the land. He went swimming after work and drowned, and she tried to save him, and she couldn't even swim, and she died too.
You need to write a song about that story.
Oh, I've got like 3 about it. I just
Wow.
can't really put them
Just
together.
can't bring yourself
They're
to
going to make one song eventually, probably.
Yeah.
But now most of the participants have passed away, so it's probably, my grandfather passed, and his dad passed in the 70s.
Yeah.
And my dad and uncle have passed now, so it's probably safe to go ahead and do it. But it was like, yeah, it's a tough subject, with family around it,
Well, I can imagine that too. Yeah, but it's a really cool story.
Well, that's why I never
inspiring.
did play the tunes, is because there's family that were there when it happened still live.
Sure. That'd be hard to bring up.
Yeah.
Over the years, as you've been writing songs, well, how big of a catalog do you have really? I mean,
I've got that's a hard question too, because you always have songs that you think are songs, but they're not really
Yeah.
songs. And so I probably have 60 of that in
That's-
that way, but
Yeah.
the ones I really think are kind of polished up and ready to go, I've probably got 3 or 4 albums worth.
That's good. That's very good.
I always like to think that if I ever got to make an album, you would want to follow up.
Sure. Yeah.
In
Well,
your
you got
pocket.
to.
In your pocket,
Don't put your best material on your
And
first
so I've
album. You'll be
always-
sorry.
Yeah, I've always contributed to people's things, and like Cowboy Jones, I put a couple songs on that album. Bob allowed me to
Yeah.
put a couple tunes on that album.
That's nice.
And I would like somebody, to record my songs. Is
Very
basically
cool.
why I do this. And
Very cool.
I love to perform and play, but I like to write songs, and I love it when other people play my songs.
That's a very cool thing.
Yeah.
I've been in a number of bands that, were based around our original thing. We weren't cover bands. We
Right.
did our own thing,
That's
and
what I dig. I'm not really
the
into-
pride you get from it,
Exactly. I'm not really interested in trying. I like to take other people's music and make an artistic
Yeah.
interpretation of it, but I'm not really interested in playing the recorded version of somebody's
the crystal
song.
image. Yeah.
And I heard Sammy Hagar do that Sunday night with Joe Satriani
Yeah.
playing Van Halen, and it was great, dude. It was fantastic. They were doing old David Lee Roth stuff, dude, and every bit of it
Wow.
was gold. It was gold.
Well,
And I even looked at my daughter and I said, you know, this is equal to or maybe a little better than the last time I seen Van Halen.
Oh, well.
I
there's
know
that
that'll
too.
start a controversy, but I
Well,
was there
no.
for both of them, you know?
No, there was a difference.
Yeah.
I saw them in 1979 in Little Rock, and
Yeah, that's
Man.
a completely different band from
Yeah.
the band in the 80s.
we were late to the show and walking across the parking lot, man, we started running because we wanted to get in there to see, I mean, because it was
That's
out there.
exactly what happened Sunday night.
Yeah, man.
Joe Satriani started going,
Yeah.
and you couldn't see anybody, but flames came up on the screens and stuff, and he's twiddling and tapping, and people just swarmed. It just came in. There was a ton of people there. That place was packed.
Where was this again?
The Walmart Amp over in Northwest Arkansas, Rogers.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool venue, but you know, man, I know everybody's all hip and high tech and everything now, but it's a cashless venue,
Wow.
and
Yeah,
I'm out on that.
that's a kind of a weird thing. I know here in Tulsa that they've talked about that a lot, but I still think that they're contemplating, two sides of that.
Yeah, I understand the whole reason behind it. I'm just not into it.
Right. Well, no accounting for venues. We love our venues.
The stuff already costs so much.
Yeah.
Oh, man, yeah.
We, for real, we bought it was insane, $14 beers and,
Best
like,
beer you ever had.
okay. It was a big one.
Oh, yeah. No lids.
But, that just means it gets hot by the time you get about
Right.
halfway through it.
Yeah. Or you're climbing up to the nosebleeds.
I wasn't really even concerned about drinking, but one of my daughter's friends ran into us.
Yeah.
And he bought us a beverage, and I felt obligated to.
Well, there you
send
go.
it.
Can't turn down a free drink, ladies and
hey,
gentlemen. Never. It's a
I'm in.
Tulsa Sound Podcast rule. Well, that's very cool. So,
Yeah, Rogers, Arkansas. It's not far.
no,
No, it's a great venue. It's
Yeah.
a good place, and I recommend getting there a little
Very cool.
early if you get the festival seating on the green, because they were packed in there like cattle.
yeah. I lived in Harrison for a couple of, I lived in Dogpatch actually, but I slept in Harrison. But, yeah, and of course over there, Fayetteville is really the largest venue in that part of Arkansas. But we had to drive to Little Rock back then because at that point Fayetteville
Oh yeah,
didn't have anything.
when I grew
like
up,
that.
you had to go to Memphis or St. Louis.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was like we would tell our parents that we were spending the night with each other.
All
And
right.
we'd gang up with the one kid that had a car, and we would drive to Memphis, and it was on like Donkey Kong. We'd spend the night down there. It's a wonder we didn't get knocked in the head and beat to death.
Well,
Driving back home at 4 in the morning.
Oh, yeah, I've done that from Oklahoma City. And
Crossing the Memphis Bridge at 4 a.m.
I've done the trip to Memphis to see a show and turn around and come back a few times. So, yeah, even from Tulsa,
Yeah.
we do it.
Well, we were in up by the Missouri state line. It was a good 110 miles or so. It wasn't that far, but
Yeah.
when you're 16 years old, that's like
well, here at the
it's
Tulsa
a
Sound
quest,
Here at Tulsa
That's
Sound
a
Podcast,
trek.
we encourage crazy road trips compressed into a very small amount of time so that when you get home, you're like, did I go somewhere? Oh, wow, what an experience.
Man, we had a friend that lived in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And his cousin lived there. And then he moved back down, and his cousin still lived up there. And his cousin's parents were just like total fucking, I don't know what you're doing, but I don't care. You
Wow.
know, whatever. We were like 16 at the time. And he basically had his own apartment
Wow.
because they didn't want to deal with him or whatever. Or he left, I don't know how he did it, drug money or
Paid him
whatever.
off.
But we would go up to his house and, get treats and go
Party
to the
time.
Kiel Auditorium and watch a concert.
There you go, man. There you
Listen
go.
to K-She.
That's back when you could do that.
K-She
Yeah.
radio, man. That was golden age, man.
Really was.
Inspires everything I do now, I'm sure.
So what year were you born, Anthony?
1965.
65.
Oh, yeah. You're just a young
I was
timer.
born in 69, so I'm just
you
right
kids
behind
over
you.
there, you young people.
I just turned 59, and I'm good with it.
Yeah. Eric's 117 years old.
Yeah, but that's okay because, you know,
I didn't
when
get
I was
it.
in World War One, you know,
I
it was,
didn't get to 59 by being 21.
Boy, I tell you what, a lot of folks didn't make 55 or 50.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
but I was just having this conversation with another friend not too long ago about how many people we know that just didn't take the right. They came to the fork and
They went-
several times, and they kept missing it every time.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
sad,
indeed.
you know?
True.
And you want to be there to help them find their way because you had to find your way, but a lot of times there's no way to talk to anybody. And I found oftentimes you could say more with music. And,
Yeah.
and a
Definitely.
song, people will identify with the message and something like that
Mm-hmm.
a hell of a lot easier than they do with you going, hey man, what you fucking need to do.
Right,
is get your
right.
life together, man.
What I learned is that more people are responsive if you just set the example yourself.
Right.
I mean,
that's-
I'm no angel and I'm not
That's it,
perfect.
you
I have a
know.
long drug history background,
try to be,
Yes, sir.
try to set a good example.
but I haven't had a
Try to
drink.
walk-
I'll be 15 years alcohol free on January 1st, and I've been free from hard drugs since
California
August 12th.
clean.
Since August 12th of 2012. So,
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, it's
This is
California.
for drug rehab music I'm playing here. Look, here it is, drug
But it's
rehab.
hard sometimes when you got friends that are
That's
going
when
a
you get
certain
that.
way.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
better.
C major 7 chord.
Yeah.
And I'd just rather set the example. It can be done. You can stop drinking. You can be, anything you want. You get your mindset to it, but you have to be willing to do it.
That's right.
Is the number one. And you have to. That
If you
person
listen
has
to
to
blues,
surrender.
you'll relapse every time.
Yeah. If you're faking it, you will relapse. But if you really are serious about getting your shit together, reach out to me and I'll help you.
Yep.
That's an honest offer. I mean, if there's something out there, trust me, folks. I've been to the wall on it, and
Trust me,
It's,
folks. He's
it's-
been to the wall on it. In fact, folks, that's
and
one of
even-
the founding things of the Tulsa Sound Podcast.
we've been to the wall on it.
He got his life together, and I said, okay, well then let's do something about
Yeah, that's the reason our little motto around here is get your life together.
it. Get your life together.
Get your life
po-
together and help
podcast.
others get theirs together.
Podcasting. Well, let's take a little quick break and get right back.
Let's do that.
And then we'll come back with some of this crazy wacko trivia stuff you
Got a little
got.
trivia for you about
Wacko.
Oklahoma musicians.
It's wacko trivia,
Is there any
folks, coming up.
prizes?
Oh, no prizes.
No prizes, unfortunately, but the audience will love us for it. So, folks, we're going to take a quick break, look at a couple of, we're going to try to look at a couple of things, and we'll be right back with Tulsa Sound
Stay tuned.
Podcast.
We'll keep it right here.
Some more day, Lord, yeah, I'll be lucky some more day. I'm working for a new railroad. I'm working for a new railroad. Yeah, I'll be lucky some more day. Well, I ain't got a nickel some old day. Well, you can't judge a book looking at the cover. You can't judge one thing by looking at the other. You can't judge a friend by looking at that man. No, you can't judge a book looking at the cover. Can't you see? You have misjudged me. I may look like a farmer, but I'm a lover. You can't judge book by looking at the cover. You can't judge the apple by looking at the tree. You can't judge old Todd by looking here at me. You can't judge one thing by looking at the other. You can't judge a book looking at the cover. Can't you see? You have misjudged me. I may look like a farmer, but I'm a lover. You can't judge a book by looking at the cover. Thank you, Todd. Oh, can't you see? You have misjudged me. I may look like a farmer, but I'm a lover. You can't judge a book by looking at the cover. Oh, no. Put a little ketchup on that biscuit.
Again, the Tulsa Sound Podcast. Brought to you
All right, we are back.
Brought to you by Horn Brothers Furniture.
I'm your host, Oscar Padron, and joining
What's
me
your
tonight
name, Oscar Padupi?
is a
Oscar
man who
Shadoopy.
was kicked out of the Symbionese Liberation Army for not developing Stockholm Syndrome, folks. My co-host, Mr. Eric.
I just loved the girl. I was
That's a
just
Patty
there.
Hearst
I was
joke,
just there
kids.
for the girl.
That's a Patty Hearst joke.
Yeah, you
All
know.
right,
Who's
mark that
Patty
off
Hearst?
on your bingo card. All right, so tonight we've got some Oklahoma musician facts,
That is amazing.
and I'm just going to read them
throw
all.
them out there, Oscar.
Yeah.
And
So there's really no prize.
No, a joint for the road home.
tonight's prize, this Hot Wheels collectible
Oh, yeah.
NCC 1701 Starship Enterprise in 1/722nd scale.
Now you're
Now,
talking.
this will be the big prize tonight. Okay, we're ready to rock.
All right, so let's get into it, guys.
I'm ready.
There's a lot of famous
Get that computer
musicians
up
from
there.
Oklahoma.
Get it going.
And
boy.
the first one is Chet Baker, famous for his vocal performances.
Oh, yeah.
In addition to being a trumpeter, he struggled with drug addiction most of his life, and it led to his imprisonment.
It did.
What else do you know about Chet Baker?
He was an extremely handsome young man. Could have been a male model in this era, but
I believe he was from, what's the name of that? Yale.
Yale, Oklahoma.
Yale,
you
Oklahoma.
are correct.
Yeah.
Bingo, that's one.
But it was really kind of funny because gosh, I don't know what to, I never know how to approach this because as a jazz guy, Chet Baker, man. But when he sings, I just tell the sound guy, yeah, the trumpet player, yeah, don't put him in the monitors. But no, he had some very interesting deliveries of songs. His timing and his phrasing is almost like it's hard to describe. And I'm not saying it's bad, just isn't my thing. But when he plays trumpet, oh boy.
So get you some Chet Baker. If you don't
Chet
know who
Baker.
that is, get you some Chet Baker.
Get on that there computer and you will find his material.
That's true. So
great.
John Moreland is next, and he started out as a punk rocker in metal bands before transitioning to Americana Red Dirt music. His music has been featured on the TV show Sons of Anarchy.
Wow.
Did you guys know that? He's also been on Colbert. He's been on Letterman.
Yeah.
The kid's doing great things.
But he was a punk rocker, eh?
Yeah. We've got videos on our channel here on the playlist.
He played at 424?
He played at the Pink Eye and the Beehive. And
later on down the road.
In the mid.
Later on down the road.
Mid 2000s.
Here in a few weeks, we're going to do Mr. Eric's exploration of punk rock clubs and music in his town. And I know that I'm going to get pounced on by Oklahoma Underground. But gentlemen, I was there 4 years earlier.
He was there.
I've seen the Blue Grotto with my own 2 eyes. Moving on.
So J.D. McPherson worked as a school teacher before his music career.
Huh.
And he's known for his revivalist rock and roll. I sure do love J.D. McPherson. I don't know if you guys...
I like his playing too.
Man.
He must have got sick of the kids and just said, sure, I'm out.
No, that's good stuff, J.D. McPherson. And his videos are great too.
Yeah, but he couldn't take the kids being a teacher. He was a teacher.
He built a Telecaster with a Charlie Christian pickup on it.
I'll be damned.
That's an Oklahoma connection.
Wow, yeah.
Certain type of it's like a reminiscent of the first type of electric pickup that they had on jazz guitars.
So this would have been like
The Charlie Christian kind of. They made it for him.
with the grip that actually connected right here at the heel of the
It
neck.
was up here more, and it was
Yeah.
more of a bar,
Right.
and has like pointed top and bottom on it.
Interesting.
He had one installed on a Telecaster, and I
Wow.
always thought that guitar sounded really good.
Are you guys familiar with the Hensons?
The Hinsons
They
or
were-
the Hansons?
No, the Hensons. They were a Christian group.
Oh, well, there you go.
And one of their songs, The Lighthouse, became a Southern gospel classic, formed in Oklahoma in 1967, and were pioneers in gospel music.
Well, there
We
you
feature all kinds of music here on the Tulsa Sound.
All kinds.
Absolutely.
That's the kind that we feature right there.
Cody
Just,
Canada from Cross Canadian Ragweed started playing guitar at age 8.
Huh.
Yeah. He named his band after members' hometowns' initials.
What was the band's name?
Cross Canadian Ragweed.
Oh, well, that's a lot of hometowns.
Yeah, man.
I thought it was CCR. I thought it was like a thing for
So
CCR.
I saw a picture of him after somebody busted him in the head with a bottle.
Oh, that's why they don't let you keep the caps on them anymore.
Man, there was like,
That must have been
Over-
a calf ride.
must have been over 50 stitches. I
Good
mean,
Lord.
man, he's paid his dues in the honky tonks, that's for sure.
I remember a story about something like that at Calf Ride or something out
Yeah, it was an ugly
out
picture.
in Stillwater. I can't remember. I play with a lot of the Red Dirt guys and hang out with them, and you hear those stories all the time.
Dues paid in full, I would say.
Well,
So Neil Sean from Journey was born
Yeah.
at Tinker Air Force Base. He's an Okie.
well, son of a gun.
Yeah.
They've got his one of his guitars down at the Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Oh, go
Nice
down to the
blue
Oklahoma Music
Paul
Hall of
Reed
Fame.
Smith.
That's in Muskogee, and see Neil Sean's guitar.
His career couldn't happen anymore because when he was a teenager, Carlos Santana would pick him up after school, and then he'd go to practice. And even as a young kid, he was playing hot. Now, if Carlos went to a school and picked up a kid these days, 10,000 mothers would be calling the police.
He'd have to wait in line like 2 blocks
And
down
show
the road
ID
in
like
line-
I do when
I
I
have
pick
a
up my
diva
nieces.
dip down here.
And a line of
Diva
cars to
dipping
get
the
in.
children.
So yeah, Neil Sean, a good old Okie. Hoyt Axton.
Hoyt Axton, he is
You
a good
boys
old
familiar with Hoyt Axton?
maybe
Met his
Oklahoma's
son,
greatest
Matt.
songwriter.
He wrote "Joy to the World" for Three Dog Night.
That's right, he did.
I did not know that.
Well, now you do.
Yeah, and he guest starred on
And
classic TV
here's another
shows.
interesting point about that. What is Joy to the World? It's Jeremiah Kirby's theme song. Dun, dun, dun.
He wrote "Never Been to Spain."
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. A classic cover song here in Tulsa. I don't think that one will ever die. Ever. It's kind of like Mustang Sally.
Della and the Dealer.
And Della and the Dealer. But Hoyt was also in TV shows like Bonanza.
Yeah.
You know, so he was all over the place.
He did some acting for a while.
Yeah, he did a lot of cameos in those kind of made-for-TV kind of movies and things they did in the late 70s. And
he also earned a degree in psychology. And
not that he was in that movie, but like the Kenny Rogers movie, The
oh,
Gambler.
yeah.
Those, like,
Lonesome Dove.
quirky little movies, you know.
Or he'd be on
like
the Rockford Files as like a crooked insurance guy or something.
Well.
You know? He'd be on Cannon or
I know what you've been doing with your time.
That
any of
was
those.
good TV.
that was good. That's back when TV was
Well,
good.
that was good TV. No doubt about it.
So Gene Clark from the Byrds.
Yeah.
Yeah, familiar
Love
with the
Gene,
Byrds. He wrote many of the band's early hits, but he left the Byrds after their first two albums due to fear of flying. And I guess I can understand that. You know, Reba McEntire lost her entire
He was
band.
the primary songwriter in that band.
Yeah. Tommy Triplehorn played with that band.
And when he started making a little more money than the rest of the guys in the band, it caused a little tension.
Oh, man.
And
I can
think
see that happening.
that was one of the reasons why he left too. And he put an album out, but it took forever.
Wow.
His first solo album, but if you get a chance to listen to it, it's got some killer songs on it.
And that's
there's
Gene
one called
Clark.
Man's Life's Greatest Fool. Life's Greatest Fool is the name of it. Great song, Gene Clark.
Well, we grow them here in Oklahoma. I tell you what,
Yeah.
Gary Busey
Gary,
initially gained fame
Gary,
as a drummer
I
and
need you on
comedian.
this show. Please call us.
Yeah, we will have buttered sausages ready for
I'm
Gary
gonna-
Busey.
I'm gonna have
whenever
Gary-
he comes down to the studio.
We'll have
sausage
hats
is
made
actually a dish.
and wear them.
Buttered sausage. You've seen those clips of him saying that.
Yeah, there's a
online.
recipe actually.
Eventually, you're going to
a
watch
real
our
thing.
show, and every week I say.
But he was
Gary,
also nominated for an Oscar for
Yes.
playing Buddy Holly in
that's
the Buddy
right,
Holly
yes,
story.
he sure was, and boy, did he ever do it.
Of course, he was up on late night TV with Gaylord Sartain in the 70s.
That's right. Yes,
Mid 70s.
with the Uncanny Film Festival. But more importantly, he
Mazeppa,
opened the door for a lot of
Papazzardi.
Tulsans to go to L.A.
Mazeppa was
new
the
thing.
shit.
Oh, Mazeppa was the shit. Coach Chuck. I mean, all the
Billy back.
So
finally
Sheb Woolley.
Yep, Sheb
Mr.
Woolley.
Anthony Sheb Woolley.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Little known fact. What's his name? Trailers for Sale and Rent.
Yeah,
Moore.
Roger.
King of the Road.
was like
Roger
his
Miller.
stepdad was
Was Sheb Woolley?
uncle, stepdad. He
Oh, be
grew up-
damned.
He grew up there.
He was known for
I
his
believe so.
novelty hit, Purple People Eater.
That's
Yeah.
right.
He also starred in Rawhide.
He was also a strong founding out of Silver Dollar City. When they first opened Silver Dollar City, he was a part of the package.
Sheb Woolley was part of the package.
Yeah.
I'll be damned. So one year I had the privilege to go up to Colorado with the Red Dirt Rangers.
Yeah.
And we met a guy who was part of the state of Colorado's most successful safe cracking gang. And this guy's claim to fame was that his brother played drums for Sheb Woolley.
Well, ladies and
Coop, I
gentlemen,
hope you're hearing this.
what
Sheb
can you
Woolley
say?
reference tonight here. Bob, Sheb Woolley.
You're never going to know when you don't get one. Oh, the audience loves it. The audience loves it. Thank you, folks. Shut up there. Okay, thanks.
Patty Page, Mr.
Patty Page,
Eric.
yeah.
Patty Page, Anthony, was the first artist to have a crossover hit from country to pop, and that song was the Tennessee Waltz.
That's right. But I didn't realize she was transitioning.
She sold over 10 million copies
So
of
she's
the
crossing
Tennessee
over,
Waltz.
right? And
As a crossover artist,
Oh, I
yeah,
see.
from
Okay.
country to
Well,
rock and roll.
I support that. I mean, people want to be who they want to be.
Did you know that Elvin Bishop founded the Elvin Bishop Band?
What else would he have called it, you nincompoop?
Well, he's known for his hit "Fooled Around and Fell in Love."
That's right.
You know, he went to, I believe, he went to Will Rogers High School also.
He was probably in
He
that
did
class
for a
with
little
everybody
while.
else.
He wasn't actually from Tulsa, but his family moved here. He went to high school here for a while. And I heard this from him at his Hall of Fame induction here at the Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
And they had it at the Canes, and I got to visit with him out back in the
Nice.
smoking area. We talked about gardening,
Well,
I offered him a puff, but he was abstaining.
Yeah.
well, there you go.
And he was talking about gardening, and I believe he lives in San Francisco now.
I'll be darned. You know, I had the privilege of
plays
getting
a few shows now and then, but mostly
in the mid '90s. I had the privilege of mixing him out at Jazz Fest,
Oh.
and it was, I got to tell you, it was good old front porch Oklahoma music. That's what it was from
he's
start
just-
to finish.
He's really smooth.
It was great. It was really reminiscent of just hanging out with my friends. It was that kind of vibe, but it was a professional show, and you know, I was glad to be there. It's one of
Most people don't know this, but the singer on "Fooled Around and Fell in Love" was Jefferson Starship,
Yeah.
Jane.
Mickey.
Oh wow!
Mickey,
Well, that makes
Mickey,
sense.
Mickey, what's his name? Yeah, Mickey from the
Yeah,
Hood.
Mickey
Yeah.
did
And
the song "Jane."
he may
Yeah,
still be.
Jane, and we built this shitty.
Yeah. Hey, buddy. Well, you know.
So speaking of,
That's because when Marty Ballin sings, everybody cries. They're like, we got to have some happy songs.
Yeah, he's kind of a crooner.
David Gates, ladies
David
and
Gates.
gentlemen.
That's our David Gates.
David Gates grew up in Tulsa.
He sure did.
He was the son of a dentist
He's son of a gun.
and attended the University of Oklahoma.
That's right.
His mother was a piano teacher, though.
That's right. I used to be in a band with his niece and nephew, David Jr. and Heather.
A lot of
Gates.
those guys from Will Rogers High School.
Oh yeah. My grandmother went to Rogers. I mean, it's got a storied history.
Baby, I'ma want you. Baby, I'ma need you. You're the only thing.
You need to put
I
that in
did.
writing.
I did in high school at a talent show. A friend of mine, I'm gonna throw her name out. Vicky Mansell.
Ooh.
Henderson is her last name now. Vicky was a fine singer,
Yeah.
and she did the song "If," and I played the acoustic accompaniment.
In
to
G.
one. And if a picture
Oh, it
paints
makes
a
you wanna
thousand
play.
words, you know.
We start talking David
Yeah,
Gates.
get
I
your
just
guitar.
want
Get your
Well, it was
guitar.
actually a Bread song, but
yeah.
David Gates wrote it.
Man, and they had hit after hit after hit. And if
Oh, yeah,
you
it was a
are
great
watching this
band.
podcast and you haven't dipped into Bread yet, dip into Bread. There are album after album after album. We've got a long playlist here on our podcast channel, where if you go to our created playlist here on YouTube,
Created
you can
playlist.
find all the bread you need.
That's
really.
right, and I'm going to be attaching
It's
all
the
my
bread
playlists too. So
Yeah.
here's some of the weirdest music you've ever heard.
Did you know that Wanda Jackson is
Wanda
also
Jackson.
known as the Queen of Rockabilly, and she dated Elvis
Yeah.
early in her career?
Yes,
She's great.
when she plays out in Bay Area, my Les and my friends in Red Meat are her backup band out on the California side.
Oh, that makes
I've
sense.
seen her play rockabilly here at the Canes. I've also seen her do church music, gospel
Yep.
music in a little church in Pittman, Arkansas, Pittman Ferry.
Well, gospel and rockabilly
yeah,
are
it's
cousins.
like there's no air
you know.
conditioning. Little old ladies with the fans, you know.
Yep.
My grandma hauled me out there. We're going to see Wanda Jackson.
Somebody playing a
Bring your
auto
autograph
harp.
book.
All
She had
right.
this little autograph book. She'd get me to have people sign Loretta Lynn.
Wow.
All these. So we're going to go get Wanda Jackson's autograph.
All right.
And she drove me through gravel roads out this little church, and in an area where we lived in northeast, right, probably 7 miles from Missouri,
Wow.
in the woods, and there was Wanda Jackson whooping it up now, singing
Wow, that's a
gospel
great story.
music in a big white dress.
I'm telling you, she always put on a first class show. I mean,
Great
she
singer.
brings
Especially
it
in
to
church, 'cause-
every performance, any venue. It's the same.
She could
Yeah.
rattle the roof, dude, just with her chords. Yeah, she had a great voice. You
Speaking
ever
of
hear, Hiroshima Mama, or was that the?
Hiroshima Mama.
I think that was the name of it. It's her rockabilly hit.
I'm not familiar.
Well, there's something you need
But we
to
can
look
find
up.
that
It's gonna
out.
blow up like a nuclear bomb.
You need to look it up.
Gene Autry is an Okie,
Gene Autry, yeah.
and he starred in over 90 films
Incredible.
and TV shows.
Let's hope he got paid.
He owned the Major League Baseball team, the California Angels.
Sounds like he did get paid.
Yeah, he got paid, of course.
Was he friends with Bob Wills?
I'm sure.
You know it.
He was friends with Will Rogers. Will Rogers saw him singing at the train station in Claremore, I believe it was.
Will
Told him
Rogers.
he ought to go out to Hollywood. They was making cowboy pictures of it.
Wow.
Well, Will Rogers famously got his start before he was known as a humorist as a fiddle player in vaudeville.
Oh, yeah?
So yeah, and so did Bob Wills. Bob Wills
But the
also
damn rope
played.
tricks paid better, huh?
The rope tricks paid better.
Well, you can't blame a musician for going that way.
And we've got a lot of that good stuff here in Oklahoma. Do you know who our official rock song is by, Mr. Eric? Oklahoma has an official rock song.
Hanson?
No, it's going to be "Do You Realize" by the Flaming Lips.
Huh.
Yeah, out of
Those guys-
So
Norman.
that's a rock song.
It is considered a rock song.
They used to open up for us.
I'll be darned.
Being facetious.
What happened to you guys?
Drugs.
So Roger Miller is also from Oklahoma, and he's famous for writing "King of the Road" in a Nashville hotel room. But he was briefly a member of the Grand Ole Opry.
I thought Hoyt
also.
Eichster wrote that song.
No.
Didn't you say that earlier?
Roger Miller. Hoyt's mother wrote "Heartbreak Hotel" for
Oh,
Elvis.
well, there we go.
And Hoyt wrote "Joy to the World."
And
Okay.
her name was Born.
What was her name again?
Born.
I'll be darned.
Jeremiah was a Kirby.
The Kings of Leon, guys.
Yep.
I've only heard of them peripherally. I've heard the music on the radio, but I'm not really into it.
So now, ladies and gentlemen in the audience, you know.
The band's-
Finally, the covers come off the bed.
I need to get more into
and
Kings of
the bed
Leon, I
bug
guess.
count is high.
So the band name was derived from their grandfather, Leon.
Yeah.
Their father was a Pentecostal preacher.
Leon.
Man, that'd have been tough.
Leon.
Yes, Kings of Leon.
Leon.
Got him off to a good start.
I'm telling you what, that is a good start. Mr. Rubin had that same good start. Hanson grew up in Tulsa,
Boy, didn't they?
and they celebrate a yearly Hanson Day here in
That's right.
Tulsa.
Here's gonna
And
be-
they
it's
do
coming up
something
very
called
shortly.
Hop Fest
Hop
every
Fest.
year, which is in conjunction with
And they
Mayfest.
get that big stage from Oklahoma City that stakes down to the ground, portable stage.
And they are
But it's the
known-
size of a full 52, so it literally has to be staked down to the ground, unlike ours, which sits on hydraulic levelers.
I love our
This
stage.
stage has to be, it's so big, it has to be anchored down to the ground.
That's how big they are, Mr. Eric.
That's how big it is. They're so famous that they got that. And you know, too, I guess about a year ago, they shot a video in Springs in the old power building for the streetcar system.
I did not know that.
Which is down on Morrow they for about 2 or 3 days there was all kinds of movie trucks and everything. And what's going on there? Oh, they were filming a video. There you have it.
The next fact is that J.J. Cale coined the term Tulsa Sound for his laid-back music style. Now, he seldom performed live, but he preferred working in the studio.
He's
But
the
J.J.
boss.
Cale also started out as a sound engineer.
He did. In fact, he was really, really good and sought after. And his ability to work in the studio meant that he got to do a lot of experimenting on time. You know, it's a tough thing back in the old days when just, stepping in the studio was a lot of money. It's not like today when you've got it right there in your laptop.
He was a pioneer of the drum machine as well.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
One of the first guys to use that stuff. Grandfather hip hop.
there we have it. Uh-oh.
You know, guys, Vince Gill's from Oklahoma. He's
He
from the
is,
Norman,
Vince, yeah, that's
Norman
right.
area.
Hell of a singer.
He almost joined the Eagles in 1980, but once played lead guitar for Pure Prairie League.
Oh, yeah, he was a
And
PPL boy.
that's red dirt music to me. I mean, from
Yeah.
start to finish, that Pure Prairie League,
Amy's
some of the
gold.
Amy, man, that's a good one. And nothing like going through a heartbreak.
Doesn't
and
he
listening
now
to
play
Amy.
with the Eagles from time
Yes,
to
I
time?
think he
Yes.
does. Yeah,
Sings
yeah.
high harmony.
There is a Sheryl Crow at Crossroads, I think Crossroads 99. He sings with her on Does It Make You Happy? And he creates a new harmony part that didn't exist on the record. And he walks up and sings this, and you're like, wow, that just made that song 100%.
That's the magic of
Not
Vince
that it was a
Gill,
bad
for
song at
sure.
all, but it's like what he put on it, it's like,
Yeah.
that's Vince Gill. And Man,
He's the dude, man.
he hears parts. He hears vocal parts.
Great player too.
Yeah,
So we all know that Blake Shelton's from Oklahoma,
we know that.
and he's a huge name, but he also
He
owns
owns
a
a horse.
vineyard here in Oklahoma. And his
Yeah.
first hit was a song called Austin. He moved to Nashville at 17 years of age.
With a mullet.
And with a mullet and a dream, after winning local singing contests in the area, and that's all he needed.
Well,
But now he's married to Gwen Stefani, and he's on network TV a couple
there you
nights
go.
a week. and
Goodness gracious. And to think how hard Ronnie Dunn had to work at it.
I wish he'd be more involved with our Red Dirt
Ronnie,
scene. I think
he worked
he has a lot to offer.
So hard, and I got to tell you, I got mad respect for you for that. I know how hard you work.
Ronnie Dunn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember him coming
sure.
into Music Sound World, still in his painter's clothes, make sure that the band had sticks, heads, strings for the weekend. He was the only guy that Randy would extend credit to. The only person. Because he was
That's saying a lot.
Well, yeah.
I like Randy a lot.
Because he wouldn't extend credit to me, and I worked there. Whoa! Of course, that was probably a pretty good idea, really.
Mr. Eric, did you know that Carrie Underwood holds a degree in mass communication from NSU?
Well, I'll tell you this. She is good at communicating to masses of people, obviously.
Yeah.
And, you know, I remember when she was on the American Idol.
Sure,
I
sure.
couldn't remember which one of them it was, but
Now she's known for her.
how proud we were.
Are you getting ready for some football? She does the intro for football.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's great.
Replaced Faith Hill.
That's right.
Whoa, ladies
Who
and gentlemen.
replaced Hank Jr.
But it's been
Oh,
years.
God,
That's true.
bodacious.
That's true.
Bodacious.
Toby Keith
Toby Keith, God bless
owned
him.
a chain of restaurants called I Love This Bar and Grill.
Yeah.
But he also had dreams of playing semi-professional football and played semi-professional baseball.
Wow.
And, you know, Toby Keith has passed, and, you know, it's a hard thing, but, you know, those are some things that of course, he worked in the oil field, too.
Pryor was a baseball player.
Yeah, Steve Pryor was a
Yeah, he
baseball
was a
player.
baseball
Good
player.
football player too.
Damn
High
good
school
football player.
star.
Yeah, I remember it. There was a lot of people.
I wasn't around here then, but I've heard lots about it.
Yeah.
Oh, I was in the neighborhood. I was about 15 years behind Steve in school. We went to the same high school. And after that team won,
You
it's-
always know who the
My
older-
drummer
yeah,
sold him
you always
drugs,
know
so he
who
was
the
always
older
at our
kids
house.
were. We always knew who the older cool kids were. We knew that, you know. And but yeah. After his class won the state championship football game, we had no others at Hale. That was it. That was the last time there, and that probably still stands to this day.
Probably. Well, I don't know. It's a good school. If funny
Yeah.
location, but that's all right.
So Reba McEntire
Reba, yeah,
started out as a barrel racer.
as a barrel racer.
Right. She aspired to be a rodeo star.
Well, she could have done it.
And she almost died in a plane crash in 1991
Yeah.
that killed her band members.
Yeah.
So it's tough. No wonder that guy from the Birds didn't want to fly. I mean, you hear about this all the time.
It's a game of averages, and in small.
John Madden rides
Yeah.
the bus.
John Madden, famous for the bus ride.
Yeah.
So Garth Brooks, guys.
Garth
We've all
Brooks.
heard, people have heard it all to
I haven't
death.
really heard of him, but I know who you're talking about.
But he holds the record for best-selling solo albums in the U.S.
Yeah.
And was a professional sports marketing agent before his music career.
He's smashing, baby.
He was also a bouncer, but he... Oh, good Lord.
Just put that down anywhere. Hey, go ahead.
More of a doorman, I would say.
Yeah, he was a door guy at Tumbleweeds, I believe,
Yeah.
up there in Stillwater.
And he managed to get on Saturday Night Live.
Well, he moved to the Tulsa area up in Owasso. He raised his daughters and went back out on tour.
Managed to get Craig and Tom Skinner to play in his band for a while.
Ah.
That's an amazing
That was
Tulsa
a smart
connection.
move, you know.
I'll tell you what. Our last fact here for the night is that Woody Guthrie wrote over 1,000 songs, but not all were recorded. He was known for writing "This Machine Kills Fascists" on his guitar. So
Yeah.
if you've ever seen that
But
photo,
did he ever have a song by that name?
I don't believe so.
Damn, he sure missed his chance.
Yeah, yeah.
Bob Dylan ought to come along and whip one of them out there. He's a direct recipient of his karma.
Their museums are right next to each other.
That's right. Knock on the door. Hey, Woody. Yeah, Woody.
All right. So we're going to take a break, show you some funny stuff. And Mr. Eric's going to tell you about Oretleys at 27th and
We got to
Memorial.
get the phone. We're going to be right back with Tulsa Sound Podcast.
I think I left mine.
All right.
Oh, my land is like a wild rolling all around everywhere. It trembles and it shakes till every tree sleeps. And it froze and nails. So take me down to your dance floor. Yeah, I won't mind the people if they stay. Paint a different color on your front door. And tomorrow we will still be there. Jesus built a ship for us to sing. Sails the rivers and it sails the tide. Some of my friends don't know who they belong to. Yeah, some can't get a single thing to work inside. So take me down to your dance floor, and I won't mind the people when they stay. We'll paint a different color on your front door. Then tomorrow we will still be there. Mr. Todd Hartcreader. Loved you every day, now I'm leaving. Well, I could see the hurt that's in your eyes. I hope you know a lot more than you believe in. So the sun don't hurt you when you cry. Oh, take me down to your dance floor. I won't mind the people when they stay. We'll paint a different color on your front door. And tomorrow you'll still be there. And tomorrow we will still be there.
All right, we are back. We are back with Anthony Pierce and Mr. Eric. And we're going to have a little history lesson here on the Tulsa Sound Podcast.
Well, really, it's more like a trip down memory lane.
Yeah, trip down memory lane.
I don't ever want it said that I'm giving out any history lessons. But,
about pre-Walmart Tulsa.
there was such a thing.
There was such a thing as pre-Walmart Tulsa.
Before Walmart really got its stakes in. And so, you know, folks, Oscar sent me a picture last week of his store, Oretleys, and it just inspired me to kind of put down my thoughts and memories. And about 5 hours later, I emailed this to Oscar. So if you'll allow me, I'd like to read to you some of my memories and thoughts about Oretleys.
Yes.
A discount bargains galore.
Good old Oretleys.
That's
I definitely remember my mama loading me up in the car and taking me to Oretleys to get a pair of breeches.
That's right. Because, you know, Oscar, if you look closely at this picture of Oretleys here, you can see my mom's car in the parking lot.
Which one?
It's one of them. You can bet your saved dollars that she drove us all around the parking lot 25 times so she could park within 2 spaces of the door. That was the story of my childhood, circling in parking lots, waiting for that perfect space to open up. And since the 1980s, when I lived in Dogpatch for a while, I had heard this rumor from my Ozark friends that at one point in time, oh, thanks. Technology. Okay, let me start again. Since the early 1980s, when I lived in Dogpatch, Arkansas for a while, I'd always heard the following rumor from my Ozark friends. In the very early 60s, Sam Walton and his family were here in Tulsa because they had a relative who was at St. John's Hospital. At that time, Sam was a single variety store owner in Arkansas and was taken by his local family here in Tulsa to shop at Oretleys. Need I say more? Because if you know Oretleys, you know it was the Walmart before Walmart. No doubt about it. Everything is. So, need I say more? Yes! So now I present the history of pre-Walmart Tulsa shopping wars 1960 to 1980. Perhaps the greatest local-owned Tulsa shopping trifecta of the mid-1970s, folks, was Oretleys, Otasco, and Lou Boyle's. These stores had Olin gunpowder available in 80-ounce tins right off the shelf. That is badass right there. Come on in, shoplift some gunpowder. Oh,
Well, you need that kind of thing.
you do, and you never know when you need it. And you could get it up to 9 o'clock at Otasco. They were open late.
That's right, and they sold bicycle tubes.
They had it. Now, man, don't blow my story, man. Oretleys, as mentioned previously, was basically a 2-story pre-Walmart idea, right down to the multiple cash registers and entrance exits. An outdoor living center. They had it all. At 27th and Memorial, that huge form-cast concrete building still stands as Fox 23 Studios. Back off that giant parking lot. And if we go back to that picture, throw that picture up there. That giant parking lot, it's still there. That building looks the same, except there's a big television antenna in front of it now. Otasco Tire and Supply, or Oklahoma Tire and Supply was the actual name of the company, had multiple locations and was primarily a tire and car service store. But I'll be darned if they didn't sell close to everything that was made of metal. everything: bicycles, outdoor barbecue cookers, shovels and rakes, hand tools. You could even buy sheet metal pipe and metal rod there. They would cut it to size. It was like an Ace Hardware where you could get the front end of your car rebuilt in one day. They had a huge garage bay. They could do just at the traffic circle, they could do like 5 cars. They had a 5-bay garage back there. It was huge. It was an incredible store. Lou Boyle's, on the other hand, was a local sporting goods store that apparently was on steroids. They started out in the building on 11th Street that Oretleys had originally been in and vacated in the early 60s. And that is now Party Pro. It's not Party Pro. It's not Party Pro, but it's one of the party stores on 11th Street just before you get to Lewis. Anyway, they were in that building, but eventually the main store grew too full, and they moved to the half of the entire lower level of South Roads Mall. So everything on the west end of the lower end of that mall was all a Lou Boyle's store. These guys, they marketed Zebco fishing product directly from the factory. So you could get Zebco stuff there that really wasn't even, it had just come out on the market.
My Aunt Mac used to work.
Fish and tackle, Lou Boyle's.
Yeah.
My Aunt Mac worked at Zebco.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, it's at one point I think my mom tried to imitate that Lou Boyle's was owned by Zebco, but no, it really wasn't. But it was comparing it to places today. Even today's Bass Pro Centers does not have a pro level camera department, but Lou Boyle's did. Also, Walmart doesn't sell really high end stereo equipment, but Lou Boyle's did. The firearms department usually had about 8 guys working at the counter. This store sold handguns and bagged candy by the pound. It seemed to have it all there. It seemed to have it all. However, just 15 years earlier, in around 1960, the big new local stores would have been Shoppers Fair at 21st and Sheridan and Jubilee City at Admiral and 68th East Avenue.
My mom worked at Jubilee City.
No kidding. Excellent. Well, that's cool because not very many people remember it. However, Jubilee Liquors, the liquor store, part of the store, which had to be in a separate building, it's still there, operating under that name. And honest to God, it was Jubilee City before I was born in '61, so it's been there for
Jubilee City forever,
a long time. There was also some cool smaller stores, kind of off the path places, but if you lived out, especially in East Tulsa, you knew about them. There was a store on North Sheridan called Airway Variety.
Oh, yeah.
It was kind of a smaller, very cramped version of a TG&Y, or nowadays, the analogy would be Dollar General. That store was, it was perhaps older, like maybe it had been started in the 1950s when the big airport boom was going out there on North Sheridan. And it was perhaps the marketing template for TG&Y because they carried exactly the same stuff. A TG&Y was just had a little more room in it. And, it was also right across the street from Crystal Pistol. And that qualifies it.
Now you're talking.
Holy ground, folks. Holy ground. So,
my understanding.
Yeah, it was a very interesting place. There was also a little aquarium, fish store right next door to it. And as young kids, we loved going there. Just the smell of the place was really
I used to
neat.
run in there all the time. Airway Variety, you could get yarn for your mama and buy a cockatiel.
There you go. You got it all. Another place that really sticks in my memory as being a young kid is the old warehouse market, which was at 3rd and Lewis. And the building that's there now, that's used to be Warehouse Market, but now it's changed its name. But that building was torn down after this original was torn down in the 70s. And this grocery store was built in 1931, and when you walked in there, it had that 1931 smell. Not like I was alive in 31, but a very old store. A lot of meat's been cut in this store. They had an incredible meat counter in this place. Really quite an interesting place, and my grandfather lived right around the corner from there. And so we were in that store all the time. And but my mom wouldn't shop there. It was a little dirty. So, but the Piggly Wiggly at Admiral in Pittsburgh was always a super clean store, and their meat market was exceptional. That's kind of where you went for your meats. And it was kind of the same thing with Bud's Thrifty Wise at 31st and Yale, because that was another store that kind of featured a lot of folks. I also know that at Bud's, there was always like 15 or 20 stone teenagers hired by the store to help you out with your groceries. And a bunch of guys I used to play in bands with, they all worked there as teenagers. Like, man, it'd be so high. And we'd take it out to Granny's car, and she'd give us $1. And we'd be like, all right. Heavy stuff, Eddie.
My family was strictly Piggly Wiggly.
Piggly Wiggly.
Well known in Arkansas. That's definitely an Arkansas chain.
Definitely.
It was like an adventure.
Oh, yeah.
Piggly Wiggly.
Well, the grocery store down in my traffic circle area was called Red Bud.
Oh, yeah.
And
I
Oscar
grew up going there.
Oscar grew
Eric
up with
and I
Red
are
Bud.
both traffic circle trash.
Traffic circle trash
Proud
from America,
traffic
USA.
circle trash.
That's right.
By God.
My dad used to say, why don't you kids go play in the middle of a traffic circle?
Or go play in the creek.
We did. Yeah. They didn't dare tell us to go to the creek because they knew we were going to be down there. But Red Bud had another location, 11th and Garnett, and I heard a rumor there was one in Owasso, but I really don't have any proof of that. I kind of looked. It was a great little chain of local grocery stores built in the 60s. They would let you shop on credit. And they would cash any check as long as it was written in English. They would also sell cigarettes to kids to take home to mom and dad.
Yeah, I can remember going to the store with a note to buy cigarettes for the grandparents.
You had to, and you could have your note. They'd pin it to the wall, and that note, they'd check you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's so and so. I know my cousin Richard was constantly going up there picking up cigs for his dad. My folks had quit smoking by then, but if they hadn't, I would have been doing the same thing. However, that whole place out there, the Mingo Creek floods just kind of killed that whole part of town in a way. And now it's the world's biggest thrift store and flea market.
Yeah, it's a great Mexican flea market out there at Admiral
It
Mingo.
really is.
If you want an adventurous Saturday, get your butts down to the Admiral Flea Market about 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning,
Hey,
Saturday
caramba.
morning, and you will see everything from goats and chickens for sale to lizards to
That's my neighborhood right
hot
there.
pants and all
Oh,
kinds of
baby.
used instruments. I mean, everything.
And it used to also have the Vegas Club down there. Whoa, which was originally a Shakey's Pizza.
yeah.
Why won't Shakey's come back to Oklahoma? Oh. Anyway, what later on became the restaurant Casa Bonita over at 21st and Sheridan was originally a huge grocery store called Stockton's IGA. And it was the first, what I call like a big box style grocery store where high ceilings, wide walls, aisles and aisles and aisles of food. It was huge. It was bigger than most of the stores of its day. Yep. But they went out of business. They got into a big union war with the UFCW. That's the folks that work in grocery stores. And Safeway, that was a union store, they just put the hardcore press on them and they went out of business. And it closed. But even though Safeway was the big winner that day, we were really all big winners because it became Casa Bonita. So, if Stockton's had to go away to get Casa Bonita, that's okay, I understand. Golf Mart was another pre-Walmart-like design store at 21st and Sheridan, and it kept folks coming back with a fresh donut counter at the front door. So the first place that we ever encountered donut holes was going into Golf Mart. And this location eventually became Handy Dan, which is the philosophical baby's daddy to Home Depot. It was
I'll be darned.
It even had the same colors, white and orange, but I know that those stores, Golf Mart and a lot of those stores were just kind of phasing out at the end of the 60s. And so, I know that after some of the Mingo Creek floods, we probably spent $10,000 a year in that store buying, home repair stuff, things like that, rebuilding those houses. But there were two other stores that were national chains. That they were around Tulsa before Walmart went what we call super national. Now, Walmarts were starting to show up, mostly in Arkansas, a couple in Missouri, but nothing had come into Oklahoma yet. But these two stores were here first and were very much like that. One of them was Woolco, and the other one was Kmart. Woolco was what was left of the 1879 Woolworth Company, and Kmart was what was left of the 1899 Crest drug stores that were known nationally. And these were two old names that were really trying to survive Walmart's coming on to scene. Neither one of these stores managed to survive that Walmart blast. I can tell you that of the two stores, that Woolco smelled better than Kmart usually. And
you could take a young lady on a date to Woolworths.
well, virtually yes,
you could get her a parakeet and a grilled cheese.
but you take a
Salted
date. You take a date to
cashews.
Kmart.
Salted cashews
There
is
you go.
right.
But I do know that Woolco had the very best after Christmas sales, and they had this great in-store jingle that was so well written, and I remember I can sing it to this day, the Woolco Department Store song. And the other weird thing is that you can look at photographs of Kmart's in the 1970s, and they kind of look like Kmart's photographs from 2005. But perhaps that's what people liked about it. It was a huge store, but it was like it's always Kmart. It's always going to be just like that. It's not going to change. Even McDonald's kind of flips around. Not Kmart. They stayed in their lane. They knew what they were doing, but it didn't work out. But in their defense, they did have ices and cotton candy right up to the end.
That's right. And Kmart had sub sandwiches.
No, they did.
And they were good.
And ices.
Ices, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Then
Kmart Blue Light Special.
That's
That's
right.
right, the Blue Light Special. There were two strange shopping anomalies that came to Tulsa, both of them just around 1970. Service Merchandise and the S.H. Green Stamp Store. One was a place that you had to have a membership to buy anything. That was Service Merchandise. And I guess the Sam's Club Genesis moment was happening there. But the other place was a place where your money is no good. Your money was no good at the S&H Green Stamp Store. You couldn't buy anything without these green stamps.
Green stamps.
S&H green stamps that you received at
At
other
Redbud.
stores for buying things from that store.
Yeah, mostly grocery stores.
Every dollar got you 10 stamps. So you go in and say, that'll be $12. And the lady would do this thing on this weird little box, and these stamps had come out. And the weird thing was, you couldn't just take the stamps to the store. You had to put them in the books. They would not take the stamps unless they were licked and stuck in the books.
Some people were really good at
That's how
gathering.
they got you to lick the stamp.
See, I think they were actually taking DNA testing of the entire
there was a
country.
lot of things going on.
Yeah, you know it. Yeah, man, I want to buy everything,
Probably
man.
a little bit of some vaccination.
Yep,
Little
little
That's how they got
LSD,
us.
DNA.
LSD experimentation going on there.
Psychotropic elevation.
But at least the books were free, so you didn't have to pay into it.
That's why they're free.
But it's some crazy stuff if you think about green stamps. Nobody would do such a thing today. But
No, not a
the
customer
government.
incentive.
there were
Not a corporation
No.
anymore. Nobody gives anything away.
So then we had to think about what are the other stores that were some of our favorites back then, and we always thought they'd be around, but sadly not forever. One of them was C&R Anthony's, which is a clothing store
Anthony's.
that was local to Northeast Oklahoma here, and Anthony's was huge, and then they just disappeared. J.C. Penney's, which of course is a national chain, but Penney's you didn't ever expect Penney's to be gone.
I think Hobby Lobby and Mardell's probably killed Anthony's.
Yeah, well, and especially Walmart did too, because Anthony's had a lot of clothing.
I would buy Levi's at Anthony's. That's
Yeah.
where I got my Levi's back when you had to buy them 5 sizes too big,
Right,
and
well, they
4
also-
inches too long,
they
and
had
they had a
Tough
chart
Nut.
on the wall for you to
I
you had to
just
convert.
remember almost every Anthony's I've seen, they put a Hobby Lobby in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they had Tough Nut jeans,
Anthony's had like cheap jeans, and,
roundhouse overalls. These are some important denim
They
products.
used to sport the tough skins.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Another store that used to be here that really was very Walmart-like, especially the one at 21st and Memorial, was Skaggs Alpha Beta, or originally, it
Skaggs.
later became Albertsons.
Yeah.
But originally it was
Brookside,
Skaggs,
too.
then Skaggs Alpha
Skaggs,
Beta,
right.
then it became,
Whole Foods was Skaggs, wasn't it?
yeah, that was
I
like their
didn't know
grocery
that.
store side. But Skaggs Alpha Beta was another store where, they had professional cameras, they had guns, they had,
Yeah.
groceries, everything. The original big box idea was not a Walmart thing really, but an accumulation of all this. So out of all of these stores that I've just listed over the last 20 minutes, the only one that still exists, because Sears is gone, Sipes is gone, the only one that won, Target.
Huh.
Target was here in Tulsa. I think it was built here in 70 or 71, right next to Sears. And
Target.
why do we need 2 stores? My mom said, "Why do we have Sears? What do we need another store for?" Well,
That's what happened to Montgomery Wards.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mongos. So if you have other stores that were in your memory as a kid growing up here in Tulsa or Northeast Oklahoma, or let us know. Send it in on the comments. Say, "Yeah, I remember this place." My sister remembered Pay and Pack.
Renberg's.
Well, Renberg's was a local Oretleys department store. They weren't really big box though. I was trying to keep my box big here, but those were my reflections on this fine time. And I hope y'all enjoyed that crazy review.
Yeah.
It just takes me back to riding around in parking lots, looking for that right space.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Eric. That was wonderful.
I'm welcome, Oscar. I'm welcome. You're welcome too. I can't even talk tonight. I'm so confused.
Hit it, Mr. Rubin. We'll be right back with the Tulsa Sound Podcast.
We're going to be back. Thank you, ladies and
Anthony's going to
gentlemen.
do a couple for us.
Oh, excellent.
I'm excited.
We're going to be right back. Be right back. Right back.
Hey, can I hit one of these waters here, man?
Yeah, absolutely.
We will allow our guests to drink water at the Tulsa
Welcome
Sound
back to the
Podcast.
Tulsa Sound Podcast.
It's like I found gold over here.
Yeah, see, we've been keeping the water so that we could keep him here to do these great songs because he was really trying to leave about 40 minutes
Well,
ago.
we're currently starving Reuben. That just keeps him in line.
Yeah, well, you know, Reuben is had his meal for the week.
That's right. Possum stew.
Here's what I say. Well, you better wake Frisbee up.
We are joined tonight by my good friend Anthony Pierce, and he's going to be good enough to do a couple for y'all.
Could happen.
Could happen. All right.
What kind of stuff y'all looking to hear?
What do you think? How about some good old red dirt music?
Good old red.
Well, you got an electric guitar on. I'm going to let you play what you want. Actually.
Well, I could play you a song that was on the Cowboy Jones album.
Oh, all right.
We did a record over at Tea Garden Studios with David Tea Garden Sr. and Brett Baldwin on the engineering, and Bob pretty much produced the album. Bob Wiles produced between him and Brett, they pretty much did everything. And, you know, we all kind of threw our P's and Q's around, but Bob pretty much kind of organized the project and charted it around and got everybody together and, you know, and wrote a good portion of the material. We had a good little bit of a couple covers, I guess, but most of the album is original. But we played a Greg Jacobs song and a couple other covers. One that Bob was on with Tom Skinner. You know, they wrote "Used to Be" together, and we did a Bob Childers song as well on there. But Bob was good enough to let me do two songs on there that are on towards the end of right before "Used to Be." And I'll do one of them for you now that I wrote for my mama.
All right.
And I was whipping around the yard on the lawnmower and listening to that kind of noise in my head, you know, just and all of a sudden I was hearing this rhythm in it, you know, and I was, you know, playing a lot of music with Jimmy Karstein. And we did a lot of talking about the Tulsa sound and the Tulsa rhythms and Tulsa beats and all that and what it was. And he used to have a lot of candid things to say about that. That's
one of the things
for everybody.
One of the things we do on this show is ask everyone what the Tulsa sound is and what is the Tulsa sound.
That's kind of what I'm getting to. This is simply my interpretation of it, from playing with guys like Jimmy and listening to them talk and they would always tell you there's no such thing or things like that. And I think John Cale, as people like Jimmy, who knew him, was called, would play songs and they would say, well, that's blue. He said, well, that's white guys trying to play blues. That's what the Tulsa sound is. It's
Wow,
like these
yeah.
white guys that like the blues trying to play the blues. And, and I grew up 100 miles from Memphis listening to the blues, sitting on the corner of my bed reading about J.J. Cale and Eric Clapton and Tulsa, and all that stuff. Never ever dreamed about winding up here. And when I did, I played with Todd a little bit, and in our band was the percussionist Jimmy Karstein.
Oh, yeah. Great guy.
He'd
Good
come and
friend
play
of
with
mine.
us at Club One. And later I played in a band with him. He played with us in Cowboy Jones, and I got to play the Cain's Ballroom with him and do things like that. But this is kind of my take on the Tulsa sound. And I was thinking about that, riding around on the lawnmower, and this rhythm kind of came to my head. And it's just old stuff my mom used to say to me. Catfish are cooking in a big old pot. Grease is bubbling so you know it's hot. Learn one thing I ain't never forgot. It's when my mama said, she said, don't touch a skillet if the grease is boiling. Don't touch a skillet if the grease is boiling. Touch a skillet if the grease is boiling. Sure enough to burn your hand. I went to the show with my whole girlfriend. Was a good old show, so we stayed to the end. It was about that time, walked my new girlfriend. I heard my mama say, she was a good mama. She said, don't touch a skillet if the grease is boiling. Don't touch a skillet if the grease is boiling. Don't touch a skillet if the grease is boiling. Sure enough to burn your hand. I was out late and riding on a Friday night. In my review, I saw a blue light. Well, I was getting angry, ready to fight. Then I heard my mama say, well, she said, don't touch a skillet if the grease is boiling. Don't touch a skillet if the grease is boiling. Touch a skillet if the grease is boiling. You're gonna burn your hand. Well, I come home late on a Saturday night. My woman, she was angry and itching to fight. I thought I'd just let her go ahead and be right. When I heard my mama say, well, she said, don't touch a skillet if the grease is boiling. Don't touch a skillet if the grease is boiling. Don't touch a skillet if the grease is boiling. You're gonna burn your hand. Yeah, you're sure enough to burn your hand. And she never lied about anything.
Man, that was fantastic.
Well, thank you.
Good stuff.
Yep, made
Good
that
stuff,
up on
Anthony.
the lawnmower. Just riding around in a circle, kind of a squared circle.
There you go.
It gets into a smaller square the more you go.
So you grew up near Memphis.
Yeah, in a place, I grew up around Pocahontas, Arkansas.
Pocahontas.
I'm from a place called Maynard.
Did you guys get Memphis radio?
We sure did. I listened to Rock 103, The Eagle in Memphis, and I listened to KSHE 95.5 in St. Louis. And then we listened to all kinds of AM radio stations that played everything from Assembly of God music to bluegrass to... I had to watch Lawrence Welk every Sunday night.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
So I had a pretty well-rounded, but never took any music classes or anything. I would watch old pickers that play bluegrasses and stuff and learn things from them that would take me 10 years to figure out exactly what it meant that would have took you like 2 weeks in lessons. And so I got a backwards ass kind of learning of everything that I kind of figured out on
That's
myself.
all right,
kind of
man. I like
backwards
what
to
I
front.
hear.
Yeah.
I definitely like it.
At some point in my early 20s, I worked at a beef plant and severed all the tendons in my hand. They kind of cinched that one up, so kind of took away my Randy Rhoads when I was going to take over for him. And then I right there shot that right.
Well, you've got the same hair.
So
I
that,
could see it.
at that time, I actually got out of that kind of music really and into more blues and Americana.
Sure. Well, you got older.
Well, it was more adaptable for me to play and make up ways to play as opposed
Oh,
to
I see.
technically proficient classical scales, and which is most of what that metal stuff is. And it actually opened my horizon, so it was actually a blessing in some ways. And it limited my ability to play some things, but I just, like, I changed the way that, like, I play pieces of chords and things instead of whole chords and open strings, and I started playing with my fingers on acoustic, and I liked it. I was like, hey, I can get things going that way that I can't do with just a pick.
Yeah.
The blues demands broken players. I don't think you can do the music and be happy and satisfied. Otherwise, it sounds like what we were talking about earlier. But when you say, boy, I mean, I can hear it, and I know what you're saying. And that's part of it, too, is that a lot of the power music in our world doesn't have the space in it for real emotional expression.
Right. And that is why I lean towards Americana and those blues and country music and you know, even typical world music, some types of world music. I'm really into this Mali blues, like from central northern Africa.
Wow.
It's like these
Home of the
guys that
blues.
they live out in the desert, and they're like their tribal territorial areas are like over five different countries.
Yeah.
And all these countries all hate them, and their name basically means rebel. You know, and they got a couple guitars out of a box or something somewhere, and 3 strings, and they tuned them up and made this music, and it's evolved into a whole genre now. And there's younger kids and like they've got like PV amps,
All right.
and like old Fender Mexican Strats
Arriba.
wires that they've gotten from Indonesia and things, and they're tuning them up like C minor,
Oh.
and they're just playing like, you know.
Yeah.
And then like this like total like droning like blues lyric to it, like about his girlfriend and how he wants to see her, but he can't see her because her father wouldn't let her be with somebody like. And it's like, dude, this is the same
the blues.
shit that we're playing over here. And thinking we're
Absolutely.
doing, you know, they got the same blues everywhere, man.
Well, that's beautiful. Because you hear it all over the world. I know a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about Byfield and when he went to France and played in Europe and stuff, and they were just absolutely hungry for it. And then come to find out there's like a Jim Byfield
Yeah, Brad Absher.
tribute band.
Brad Absher told us when he was in London, they
Little
went.
Rachel, man.
They
Yeah.
went and found a Jimmy Byfield cover band
Dude, I
doing
always
his
wanted to
album
play Little
start
Rachel,
to
and I
finish.
just never thought we had a band that could, you know, or that I could pull it off. That was a cool groove, dude. And Hickerson back there on acoustic guitar.
Oh man,
Playing acoustic guitar leads, you know,
The Doc.
it's awesome, man. To
Thank
me,
you,
that's
Doc.
that's what I got.
Thank you for
know,
letting
when I
me know
came
you.
to Tulsa first.
Thank you for letting me sell you my amp.
I wasn't here for that, but I got told right off the bat, you know, that's the good stuff. Well, Todd and I used to go watch Brad play.
Oh, yeah.
At Club
Yeah.
1, we would play Thursdays, and Brad would play Friday. you know, and we'd come watch Brad play, and then Saturday night it'd be Pryor. You
Yeah.
know, and it was like,
Yep.
hell, it was like.
And back then,
being
we'd get the
in-
whole weekend.
Yeah,
Band
it
would get
was
Friday and Saturday
and
night
we would
in
stay
there.
at Connie's down the street and walk down there because we were going to be shit-faced whenever
You would
we
play
came
from
stumbling back.
supposedly 9 to really start around 9:30.
Yeah, till the
You'd play
place
till
closed.
2.
Yeah.
You know, these
Oh, yeah.
bands nowadays, they play for a 2-hour set,
Dude,
and then it's over.
we would start at 8 and go till 2.
Yeah.
Or 1:45.
Eric was in a band that wouldn't play till after midnight.
I was in a band that we wouldn't play till after midnight.
That
We wouldn't
band
go-
would not play until tomorrow.
We wouldn't go on. It's just like, no, you're going to have to book us late. We played a lot of after parties.
There's a lot of bands that like to take their breaks before they start.
Yeah. I just, in the
Well,
old
a
days,
lot
we
of
had
that,
it a little
you know,
tougher.
I love the venues too, but a lot of that comes from the lack of being able to make what you need to make to pay 5 guys to come out there and
Yeah.
do that for 3. You know, they don't want to pay that.
4-hour and 4.5-hour
Yeah,
sets
you-
were
you know.
common in the 90s.
Right.
Very common.
I
Everybody
like
did
to
'em.
play 2 sets.
Yeah,
And I
2
like to
sets
play like
with a
an
good
hour,
break in the middle.
Hour
We
and
still
15
rehearse
minutes,
that
you
way.
know. I like to do an hour, 15-minute, maybe hour and a half set if people are having a good time.
Yeah, you'd play from, say, 9:40 till 11,
And then
take
I'll
a
do
long
another
break,
set.
and then play till 2 a.m.
And
Till
also,
the end of the night. Yeah.
There's something to that too when you're doing originals or what I call crafted covers, is that you want to
Play
take
more
more
of a
time
show.
with it. When you're going out like you're going to play a cover band gig, you're expected to fill these
to
holes.
entertain.
That's the
people
way
for
we
a certain
rehearse.
There's
We
something-
don't stop between songs.
Right,
Well,
there's something
our
magic that
guitar
happens.
player
There's
is
a
starting the
different
next song.
requirement for that kind of
Yeah.
gig.
There's something
And
magical
I
that
like
happens
to play
after
more of
midnight.
The listening room type.
Yeah,
of
the
gig.
listening rooms are
Judge
great, and as
We
I
like
get
to put
older,
on shows where sometimes we do our own. You know, we'll book a room or get a room, and we do everything. We play the gig and we take the door, whatever.
Yeah.
And then we
Yeah.
don't worry about what we're getting paid, because if we weren't getting paid, then we didn't need to be doing it because nobody came.
right?
All right, Hashioka 2024. Stop laughing over there in front of the house. I'm like,
Yeah, I understand. It just seems like the kids are getting shorter sets, and
I think that has a lot to do with folks and their attention span these days.
it does.
I've also,
but it's the
noticed that-
post-COVID world.
Well, and folks, it used to be you went to a bar and that's where you went that night. You drank there until 2 a.m. and you let know.
Yeah, there's a
And
lot of
now
jumping around. now.
folks jump around and hop, and that's cool. We didn't do it back then, I
Unless
think,
you
because
gotta
we're afraid to
pay
get arrested.
$20 at every joint. You know?
Well, yeah.
yeah.
Well, indeed, and
It's getting like, the $5 door used to be $5,
yeah.
and the band kind of got a little cash from the bar.
Mm-hmm.
I think I paid a $10 cover charge the last time I was at
And
Thelma's.
drinks were a little cheaper, and people drank more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just a different model now.
Well, it is, and people don't drink as hard as they used to.
Drink less, pay
Yeah.
more.
Crap,
It's
man, we used to
true.
play at this place called Doug's Soccer Bar, and at the end of the night, nobody was walking out of there. I mean, everybody was stumbling, hardcore stumbling.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
then you could get in a 1%er fight right in front of the bar. That was well, you're loading out and there's bikers squaring off. It's like, this is great, man. This is great. But yeah, it's different because people are they have kind of a shorter attention span. They want to see more things, want to experience more, and they don't drink as much. So
I don't
the
think
balance
these
at the
crowds
bar
can
changes.
hang for 4 hours anymore.
Well,
They just
maybe they
can't do
could,
it.
folks. What do you think? What do you
don't
think?
know.
Send that in the comments.
I don't know.
Can you keep it up for 4
Can
hours?
you keep it up for 4 hours in one place?
That's a
No.
challenge
I'm
from
saying no.
No.
That's a
They
challenge
can't do
from the
it.
Tulsa Sound
They
Podcast.
can't do it
Not at
these
all.
days.
Keep it up for 4 hours, right?
Brought to you by Blue Chew.
Yes.
If you're not doing something pretty interesting, they're leaving either during your set or at the break, and they're not coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we play
that's true.
these sets at a lot of places, and you see people come back, and you're doing something that you feel like, well, okay, this is worth doing.
Nick Cave walks up to the mic, and the first thing out of his mouth is, "Lock the fucking doors. No one's leaving." And it was like, oh, yeah, I love this.
All right.
And we all believed it, too. We believed
Y'all are
we
gonna
were
have
locked
to
in
listen
there.
to this where you want to or not.
That was kind of his approach. But, yeah. Well, you going to play another one for us before we pull it home?
Sure. Let's see.
Yeah,
You
man.
got something? I know our audience is tuning in
I
for
lost
one
my
reason
guitar.
only.
I think I'll try to play this one with the pick?
Oh, there we go.
How about an instrumental?
Yeah,
I'll
that'd
take
be
it.
great.
This
take
is a
it.
song I wrote. We'll see if I can get it. Normally when I play this, I got a nice big Fender amp behind me with a
Well, Frisbee's
nice
got that sounding
washy
big.
reverb on it, you know.
More verb.
More verb.
Put some verb on him over there,
Verb
Frizz.
on the guitar.
No,
for
no,
this
no.
one. All
Well, you
the
know,
verb-
up here on
all
the
verb you
92nd
wanna
floor of the
put on.
Atlas Life Building, there's a lot of natural
like-
reverb.
And it needs a little more. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
like that anyway. This is a song I wrote. I was actually listening to a lot of Dick Dale and stuff like that, and had seen a show at the Icon a couple years before that.
Yeah, he blew out the
Blew
monitors.
that place, dude. It was fantastic.
Dick Dale blew out the monitors that
Had
night.
a nice
at the
Fender
Icon.
reverb tank hanging from the ceiling on like boat ropes, and it was just great. I enjoyed every minute of it. But he was always very loud. Dick was very loud, and so I'd been listening to a lot of that, and I've always loved surf music, and I've been toying around with this lick, and all of a sudden I was watching a snooze clip, and they were talking about Bethany Hamilton getting bitten by a shark and it eating their fucking arm off.
Yeah.
And she swam herself, beat off the shark, beat him down, swam away from the shark, and got back out of the water, got herself fixed up, and then went back to surfing later.
Right on.
Man, that takes
After she, I was like, now that's a,
Back on the board, man, eh?
yeah, get
takes
back
more-
on, get
back on the board,
horse,
bruh.
more
know?
cojones than
So
I have.
then I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this should be a surf tune, and it
Yes.
should be called Bethany's Song.
Yeah, buddy.
So this is a song about a girl in a badass fight with a tiger shark, and she wins, I guess is the moral of the story. Something like that. Sounds much better with the band and a little amp
Well, it sounded great.
and a tune-up. I should have offered a tuning.
Mr. Eric, grab your guitar. We're going to keep rolling.
Oh, are you sure?
Yeah, if Anthony doesn't mind,
Try to tune this thing.
we're going to keep rolling. All right.
Sounded horribly out of tune. I'm not sure that was a good song choice.
I think it was good.
I forgot that there was nobody here to help me.
Well,
I
Mr. Eric's
And I
here to help
normally
you.
just show my
I
ass
should
on
have
that.
jumped on.
Mr. Eric's here to help you, and I don't know. Whatever you boys want to do,
Don't let me forget that.
I will make sure.
Let's see. Play. This is a new song I wrote. So, a little change of scenery. It's standard. Are you familiar with the teen breakup progression? C, A minor, F, and G. Well, this is kind of like that.
In jazz.
And this will.
I'm just gonna watch.
This is good for having a little acoustic rhythm on there.
What's key?
C.
Gotcha.
And let me numb this up a little bit here so it doesn't sound so jangly. I was going for the jangle, but that sounds fairly in tune with you. This song's called Carry Me Along. And I'll take a drink of this water.
Yeah,
And try to
absolutely.
sing it for you. Now, Mr. Eric here has never heard this song.
It's my specialty.
That's
So I'm
actually
going to
his
play it for
specialty,
him,
yeah.
and he's going to
Well,
talk
you
about
just
it.
start now. Follow.
Wish was an old leather bag with a handle and a tag. And you could carry me along. Wish it was a bird on your wing when you come rushing in, so you could carry me along. Wish it was a song in your head, make your heart turn red, and you could carry me along like your favorite song. And I'll whistle you a tune and send to the moon if you carry me along. Carry me along like your favorite song, down any road you're on. Carry me along if you're alone. You can carry me along. You say I'm strong, but on and on, it's been you to carry me along like your favorite song. And I promise you the moon. If you carry me along. Kind of like that, something like that.
Like that.
Well, we just made a little bit of that up, but there you go.
That's how we do it in Tulsa. My God, that's
Well,
how we
and I
do
brought
it in
the
Tulsa.
Nashville tune guitar too, so I wasn't like a real chugger on that. It's like I'm playing pretty chords tonight, folks. Pretty chords.
Oh, right.
Well, all right, Oscar.
Well, thank
Well,
you,
that there
Anthony.
song that's copyrighted with Pig Butter Publishing. So is the other one.
Pig Butter
That's my little
Publishing.
entity in Tulsa.
Well, you may get a notification for playing your own song on this show.
Probably so.
Well,
Exactly.
we're so glad you came here tonight and shared with us not just your playing, but man, you're great with these stories and stuff.
Oh, I've just
That's what
heard
the
a lot
sound-
of them.
Absolutely.
That's what the TSP's all about.
And that's what
is
our,
talking
that's what
too
our
much.
purpose is just to tell the stories before they get lost. We
Yeah.
don't want
Yeah.
that to ever happen.
Because as we know, every year we lose about 5 or 6 of our friends, and it ain't going to be too long where some of us going to be rolling down the road ourselves. We
Happens
want
all
those
the
stories
time.
out there. We want them out on the streets.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, thanks
thank you,
for having me,
Anthony.
guys.
Thank
Thank
you very
you
much.
so
And
much
thank
for
you
coming out
watching
tonight.
The Tulsa
Thank
Sound
you for sticking.
Podcast.
Oh wait, here I got to say this. If you've stuck around with us this far, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Like and
right.
subscribe sound effect, please.
Like and subscribe.
Hit it.
Don't forget. Slick's
There we
big
have
old
it.
beans.
So, friends, next week will be, well, actually, next week I don't know will be because we got mortgage closeout blues next weekend, but it's going to be
That's
Labor
right.
Day. So everybody enjoy your Labor Day. Have a safe Labor Day off. Don't drink the water in the Arkansas River. It'll kill you dead. We are the Tulsa Sound Podcast. Good night. We'll see y'all later. Bye.